Hello, today lecture is about database. In unit 1 there is a topic called database, basic concepts, and how to create databases and their uses in agriculture. So let's get started. This is the presentation in terms of notes, and the first thing is the database. It's basically the collection of a related data. Data could be anything. It could be your name, address, that is textual data. It could be images, it could be audio, anything. And the collection of related data, some kind of data which is similar in nature, it is maintained in the database. And next thing is, what is data? It's basically the collection of raw facts and figures, and that have their implicit meaning. For example, the names, the telephone numbers, the addresses of peoples is example of data. And another term is database management system, DBMS. Basically it is a collection of programs that enables user to create and maintain a database. So in computers we need to create databases. To achieve that task we need some kind of specialized softwares which we called database management systems. In case of Windows it's MS Access, and there is also another DBMS called SQL, structured query language, or MySQL. So these are the specialized software used for creating and maintaining the databases. So DBMS is just a collection of program which is used to create and maintain the databases. And this is the basic example of a database that stores student course information. And generally in databases, the relational databases I am talking about, the data is stored in form of tables. Here you can see first table is the student table, then the attendance table, course table, and marks report table. And all these tables stores specific information. For example, this student table only hold student information like his name, roll number, and which branch is study in CSC, MBA, B.Sc agriculture. And the course table is dedicated to the subject name and subject codes only. What are the subjects and what are the subject codes? Similarly, for the attendance table, what is the attendance for the month of March, December, etc. for that particular student having this particular row number. And similarly, the marks report, which student obtained how much marks for a particular subject, and it is maintained in this marks report table. It was a basic example, all this, of a simple database which store the student course information. We will discuss these concepts in detail in later sections. So the next concept is the users. What are the users, persons associated with databases? Generally there are administrators, designers, and end users. These are the roles given to the persons dealing with the database. First is DBA. These are the administrators. And to discuss administrators, first let's discuss database designers. What are the designers? And generally these are the experts, technical experts, or you can see database designers are those people whose task is to design the database. For example, in case of a university, if the university needs some kind of database to hold student online examination record, to conduct online examination and to store the scores, marks scored by the student for various departments and various subjects. There need to be some kind of specialized skilled person to design that database. So those have expertise in the domain of computers, in the domain of databases, and those person will design the database. And whenever the database is designed, it is handed over to database administrators, and these are the persons who are or the owners, I can say owners of the database. For example, taking the example of the automobile industry. For example, in case of Abhilashi University, the buses are the main source of commute from university to the student homes or other locations. The bus is designed by the designer, and in that case that could be Swaraj Mazda, a company who designed that particular bus, and that bus is purchased by the Abhilashi Education Society. So we can say the AES, Abhilashi Education Society, are the administrators who maintain those buses, who decide which person will enter, which person can travel via those buses or not, who will drive the bus, who will operate the bus, and proper maintenance, how the proper maintenance of those buses will be conducted. So end users are the people who use those buses for commute. For example, the faculty, the students, or other staff members. Similarly, the databases, in case of the concept of databases, the designer create the database, the administrators are the persons who are responsible for maintaining that database. They decide which users can perform what kind of operation on the database. They can they add some kind of data, can they retrieve certain kind of data, what kind of access to every user need to be allocated. And end user are the persons who generally use that database. And what are the advantages of using a database? First one is the redundancy can be controlled using database. What is redundancy? Redundancy means the storing of same data multiple times in multiple locations. For example, in case of computers, if I am having a particular song stored in multiple folders in my computer or in my smartphone, then I can say that a particular song, it could be an image, is redundant, and for that redundancy cause a lot of storage wastage, and wastage of other resources. So in case of databases, that particular redundancy problem can be controlled. We will discuss later. Second is the restricted unauthorized access. This is the second advantage of using a database. You can decide which person can access what kind of information stored in the database. For example, in computers, if you are having a personal computer, there are user accounts, and certain user accounts have certain capabilities or privileges, like what kind of software one user can install, another might not install, or what kind of storage partitions, hard disk partitions, the data stored in them, they might access them or might not access them. Similarly, in case of databases, we can restrict the unauthorized access. Someone who's not allowed to access certain parts of data might not be able to access if proper authorization scheme is maintained. Here is an example of financial data, the medical data, medical records, confidential record, any kind of confidential data. The next advantage of database is it provide storage structures for efficient query processing. What does this mean? We can ask the database certain kind of questions. For example, I can ask the database, tell me the total number of admissions in B.Sc agriculture for the year 2020 or 2019. Or I can ask a question like, tell me what are the total number of students which reside in hostels, or specific attendance regarding questions like how many students having attendance less than 70% for the course B.Sc agriculture year 2020. These are certain kind of queries which can be executed on the database, and database will provide the report regarding the result or responses. The next advantage of using a database is the backup and recovery. What does backup and recovery means? Say in case of a personal computer or smartphone, I am having music, image, any kind of data, and what if the smartphone got broken, got stolen, or the files get accidentally deleted by some kind of mistake or anything, then it might be some challenging task to recover that data. Similarly, in case of databases, it provides excellent backup and recovery facility. Your data could be backed up in different locations, online or offline, and you can take backups in separate storage medias, etc. And in case of recovery, we can recover the data from the last stages. Next thing is advantage is providing multiple user interfaces. Multiple user interfaces means there are various roles, various persons who are using the database. We said earlier, there are end users who generally, for whom the database is built, and there are administrators who manage the database, who assign the users to perform certain kind of operations on the database, for example adding data, maintaining records, anything. Or there are designers. So for each set of users there need to be a kind of user interface, different user interface. Designer would have different interface which helps or enables them to create, maintain, modify databases. Administrator will have different user interface, similarly for end users. So with the help of DBMS, its advantage is for multiple user interface. And last thing is the representing. It helps in representing the complex relationships among data. Okay, so here are some points when not to use a database. There are certain cases when the overhead cost of using databases are high. For example, to use the database we need a computer hardware, we need a DBMS software to purchase, we need some training for the administrators, for the end users, and if all these factors like security, recovery, and concurrency control, all the costs associated with these are much higher, then the use of database might not be recommended. And second case is when we might achieve the desirable results using regular files, then there is no need. For example, if I just need to store I can see mobile number, contact number, my email address, then I can create say this normal file, and I can store any simple data over here. For these kind of simple operations there is no need for the database. And next thing is the DBMS provided by Microsoft. It's called MS Access. It is the database management system for creating the databases, and it comes under MS Office package. This is the relational relational Microsoft Jet database engine with graphical user interface, and this might be in your syllabus as well, or might not be. This is the MS Access, creating database, preparing queries. This is also practical of how to use this MS Access. But in a nutshell, let's see. This is how it looks like, MS Access. I just type, this is the DBMS, and I'm using the latest version 2019. Here is the option of creating a blank database. I just create a blank database and choose the location where I want to store this. I want to store the database in the desktop and type its name as students and hit create button. So this is the database. Let's see, check the desktop folder and view. This is the database which we just created, and let's go through theory, then one by one we cover the next sections. There are lot of concept, like it is data type. What is data type? The data type generally determines the kind of value, kind of data which can be stored in any given field. So what is a field? In databases, the basic structure for storing data is called table, in form of table. This is the simple table. It is having rows representing a record. So this is the record 1, this is record 2, this is record 3, and column, these are the columns representing the fields. So I just erase those, and say this is the first field. What kind of data I want to store? I can, for example, this thing over here I discussed. The field name here is the name. It specifies that below these cells will hold the name of the person, and the second field is roll number. They specify that below we will only accept numbers, numeric values for roll numbers. Similarly for branch, this is the field, and the name of the table is this student. Field are name, roll number, branch. Similarly in case of attendance, the name of the fields are name, roll number, branch, and there are these 2 months. So back to our data types. It determines what kind of values can be stored in any given field. So generally for data, we are having textual data, and for those data which are having characters less than or up to 255 characters, there is a data type called short text, and for longer text up to 64,000 characters, there is a data type called long text. Similarly for numbers, if you want to store number, you have to specify the data type number, and to hold date and time, to store date and time, there is date and time data type, and currency data type is also there. Next is this concept tables. Tables are used to store the data. These act as the container for storing data inside the database. This is the simple template of a table. Above are the field name, and the vertical, these rows represent the records. And to design the table, we need to set the field name. These are the field name I am setting here: first name, last name, city, semester. And type of data, the names are generally numeric, alphanumeric, so short text would be appropriate. And the data which I will populate here, I am setting this value Abhishek. Similarly, for last name is data type, I am setting short text, and value setting Kumar. And let's just create this table in the DBMS. So to create a table, I just hit create button, and this is the table, and I just give it a name. So I just write students info, STUDEN, students info. This is the name of the table I am giving. And now I need to specify its design. So you can see here the field name. It is asking me those field name, these names, field 1, field 2, field 3, what I want to store. Say I want to store student roll number, and what kind of data type it is. Roll number is generally a number, so I choose the number. And you can see these are the types of data types we discussed earlier: short text, long text, number, date and time, currency, etc. So for roll number I am using data type called number. Similarly for name, and I want to state as name, and it's saying the field name you specified name is a reserved word, so I cannot type name, I have to specify ST name. And name of the student, you can see maximum characters for short text are 255 characters. These would be enough. And a third thing which I want to store is the, for example, course or semester. I can say ST student course, COUR course, and this course short text data type is okay. And this interface which you are right now seeing, it is the interface provided for the designers. Right now I am playing a role of a designer. I am designing a database, and this was the interface, graphical user interface I was talking earlier, which the database provide. So I just create a simple table with the 3 field: roll number, name, course. And here you can see this is the key. Yeah, there is a key, and this key is called primary key. For whatever record I set this key, that record needs to be unique. For example, if I set this key to the name, and for that table I have to maintain the unique names. Earlier I said about redundancy. That means duplicate records are not allowed to be entered inside databases. To control that redundancy, we control it with the help of a primary keys. And if I set any field a primary key, that record needs to be different. For example, in any class, if I set primary key to name, no two student can have same name as Abhishek or Ajay, anything. So generally primary key is set to unique record, like roll number. Two student can have same name, but two student cannot have the same roll number. So I can say roll number is the uniquely identifying field name, and it's good to set it as a primary key. So here we just set all the fields, all the data type. Let's just save it and close it. And on the this side preview panel, we can see we are having inside table section there is this table, students info table. And talking about the interface, this is the graphical user interface of MS Access. On the top there is the title bar stating the location of the students database where it is stored, its name, and on the right hand corner there are close, maximize and minimize button, and this is file menu, home menu, create, external data. These are all standard toolbar icons, and this gray area over here is the workspace. This left side is the preview pane, or I can say access objects. All the objects like tables, reports, queries would be shown here, and in the bottom this is the status bar saying what kind of responses we are getting. So here I just create a table. I double click the table to open it, and you can see all the fields, roll number, name, course get automatically setted. And to fill the data inside this table, I need to design a form, and before that just go to back to theories, and this is the next concept called forms. So what is a form? A form is a medium through which we populate the table with the data. Generally forms, you might have filled the examination form, the form you use for login to social networking sites, any kind of sites online. Generally these are called form. What are the form? These have these labels which tells what kind of information you are required to input in these text boxes, and generally have the submit, send, OK buttons. So these forms, with the help of these forms, we can fill the data inside those tables. And let's see how to create a form. I am having this table, and right now I need to create a form. I just go to create tab and click form, and it just automatically created the form. But there is another way, and this is the create tab. I just once again goes back to create tab, and here is an option called form wizard, and this is the more robust way of designing form. And on this drop down showing list of tables, I am just having one table called student info, and these are the field roll number, name, and course. So I want all three to be added in my form, and click next. And it's talking about the layout, what kind of layout I want. I just set to default, and what kind of name I want to give. I just want to give its name form students info, and just hit finish, and you can see over here the form gets created. And let's just type some value. For roll number, I am typing roll number 55, name, my name, and course is B.Tech CSC, enough. And to store this record, this on the bottom, this you can see there are these buttons, triangular buttons. I just click this triangle next record button, and you can see all the data gets saved. I can check the table by double clicking, and this is the value I just filled. The data gets stored. So I just close all, once again open the form, and it's showing the records. I want to add another record, so I just click next record, and I type another name here, roll number 37, and its name I type Mapser, and its course as well B.Tech CSC. For another student, I just type its name ST3, and okay, roll number I need to be type numeric values only. 86 is name student 3, and its course B.Sc agriculture. I just hit this next record button, and all records are saved. Just close the form and see the data inside tables. You can see all the data got stored in this table called student info of the database students. So next concept theoretically is the query. This is the new concept. What is query? It is generally a request to the database to access certain kind of results, or generally you are asking a database to provide some kind of information. It could be a simple question or a complex question. There are various queries to retrieve the data, to delete the data, to modify the data, to add the data. And for this practical purpose, I am just using some basic query to retrieve the data. Let's see how to create queries. I just save this thing and I need to create a query. I just go to create tab, and here is a query wizard type. What I need a simple query. Okay, but I want only the roll number and the name. I want all the students' name and roll number of the student info table. So I just click next, give it name, query simple, and finish. You can see this. Initially this is the table. It is having 3 students and its fields are roll number, name, and course. But I just create a query and I ask, tell me just roll numbers and name of all the students. And I can also modify the query to ask the database, like, tell me only those list of only those students whose roll number is below 50, below 60. So to do that, I can just modify it using this design view, and criteria, I can specify any specified criteria. Only roll number, I type greater than 50. You can see now actually the records are 37, 55 and 86, and here it's showing only those students whose roll number are greater than 50. I just remodify the query in design view. I just type show me only those students whose roll number is less than 50, and let's see, only Mipser is having roll number 37 is shown here. So these are the simple queries, and used for retrieving some specific record, updating a record, deleting a record, modifying the records. And next thing is the report. This is the report, and what are the reports? Generally, a report offer a way to summarize the information in Access database, or generally there are some kind of reports. For example, I can ask the database, tell me list of all those students whose attendance is below 75%. So this is the general query which I want is a result. and the result which the database provide can be converted into reports which can further be exported to PDF documents. And for example, here in this case, what I create, I just create another table, or this table I add some more data I need to fill. So I just go back to here and I type roll number 22. I type its name as student 4 and its course B.Sc agriculture, and let's type roll number 5. His name is student 5, course is BMB. Let's type student roll number 15 and name is student 4, student 88. His course is B.Sc agriculture, and hit save button. And now what I just refresh, and you can see lot of records are here, and total there are 6 students here. And if I see the result of this query, it is showing me this thing, simple query. I go to this design view, and I want only those students whose roll number is less than 30. So I just specify the criteria whose roll number is less than 30, only show me those student, and only 3 students are here. So I want this thing, this query result as to be report of my results. So I just go to create tab and report wizard, and here is it is specifying what you want to, from where you want to create the report. I want to create the report from this query and put all the fields. Next, the default, I set it default, all default, and give it a name called report list of students whose roll number are below 30. And this is the report right now. List of students whose roll number are below 30. On the left hand side are the roll number, and on the right hand side these are the names. And you can see below the date, timestamp on which the report is generated, and page number. I can also modify it by going to design view, and this is the how it looks in the design view. And for this title I can change the color, go to format, and I want this color to be this blue, some bold, and I want to increase its size further. And this is the header field. First is roll number, I just set to bold and set its color to green, and similarly bold and green. The font size I set to 22 and this to 22. Let's see in the print preview. Okay, so I need some more modifications. I go to design view and I just specify the height of the field some more, and this thing I need to provide some spacing. Okay, and I go back to print preview, and you can see I have applied some text formatting. Here is the list of students, so roll number R, and some more tweak I need to do are below. I need to increase this size. Go back to print preview. List of students shows roll number are below 30, and this is the report. Similar report I can ask for the database, give me a list of all the students who are from Sundarnagar, or who belongs to this particular location, or who are hostler, or who are day scholar, anything. And this is the report. And one more thing I want to tell, you can export these reports directly to PDF document. So to export this report, I just right click it, and here is the export option. What kind of format I want to export, I just select PDF, portable document file, and where I want to export in the desktop, I just hit publish, and you can see this is my desktop, and this is the report generated, and here it is. List of students, so roll number are below 30, and this is the timestamp, this is the page number and list. You can mail this file and share this file with others. Back to our notes. So these were the reports. Next thing is the relationship, and what this thing is, generally, as I said earlier, the data inside the database is stored using these tables, and these tables might be linked together with the help of concept called relationship. For example, in this course table, it is storing the course subject, course code, and the subject name, and I can infer from this table that the students which are stored in this student table, all these courses belong to these students. Similarly, the attendance which this table is storing, this attendance belongs to these students. Similarly, and for the report card, all the marks scored by the in the various subject by these students belong to these students. So how do I link this table to these three tables? I want to link the student table with the course marks and attendance table. To accomplish this, I need to go through the relationships. So what are the relationships? These are used to join the tables, and further they helps to remove the redundancy, and there are created with the help of this primary key. But are the primary key, these keys help to uniquely identify a particular record, and if you set a primary key to any field, it cannot have the two record with the same values. There is another concept called foreign key, and for a particular table there will be maximum of one primary key, and if you want to set the name as well as a primary key, you cannot do. You can either have roll number or name as a primary key, and so what is this foreign key? For example, I am having this table, and in the second table the primary key is Aadhaar card number, and I am using roll number, which is the primary key of this table 1. So I can see the roll number is the foreign key and primary key is the Aadhaar number. So primary key of another table, we call it as a foreign key. There are three kind of relationship: one to one, one to many, and many to many. And in a one-to-one relationship, let's see, B relate one record from one table to only one record of another table. Say in this case, I am having two tables. First table is student personal information and second table is student academic report. I want to say to the database, C database, the roll number of this table is related to roll number of this table. So these two roll number belongs to same person, and I want to link these two tables using this primary key, which is roll number. And say for example, if I specify here roll number 2, and for the roll number 2 I can specify the marks scored in computer, English and math, and all those marks will be linked with roll number 2 only. Similarly for roll number 7 I can specify different scored marks and so on. Another relationship is one to many, and in this case only one student can have only one roll number. So one-to-one relationship was okay, but in case of this thing here, here are two tables, project table and task table, and one student can have many projects. So in this case, one to many relationship is appropriate, or I can say one student can there could be library, and many books could be issued to one student, so relationship would be one to many. And there is another many to many relationship, and here a junction table, this is the junction table, it is created, and here one to many and many to one relationship are formed, which ultimately construct the many to many relationship. So these are the three relationships which are used to link the tables and enforce the data redundancy and concurrency. So let's see how to create a relationships. So I just hit save. So for creating the relationship we need to have more tables, and you can see here I just have one table here. So let's just create another table. I go to create table and give it a name. In the design view I set its name to student attendance, and I want to set roll number as the primary key, and here is the attendance field, and I set it to number. Okay, and I just hit the save button, and this is the datasheet view. And in this case I am having the student info table. What I do, I just delete all the data because the relationships are created earlier in when we are designing the database. So I need to make sure both the tables are empty, and here I go to this database tools, and here are the relationships, this one, and I just add first student info table and student attendance table. These are two tables, this one and this one. And now I want to link student info. I want to tell that these two tables storing the same record for the students, and I just drag and drop and create one to one relationship, and it is saying that the tables are open. I first need to close the tables before linking them together. So I just create here the relationship 1 to 1. You can see over the line 1 and 1. So if the relationship is constructed, whenever I just input the data in one table, it automatically get related to stored to another table. For asking me to save the table. I just save, and I just create another form to fill the data. See, I just create another form using form wizard, and from the student info table I want to add roll number, name, course, and then from the attendance table I just pick the attendance, next, and finish. And it is asking me roll number 1, his name is Abhishek, and its course is B.Sc agriculture, and its attendance is 70%. Next is ST2, student 2. Okay, its roll number is 22, ST2, and its course is B.Sc agriculture, attendance 88%. Next is student 3. Okay, and this roll number it is asking 33, 76%. Next is student 4. His roll number 44, his course B.Sc agriculture, attendance 88%. And another last student, student 5, its roll number I set to 55, student 5, course B.Sc agriculture, and attendance 40%. Okay, so let's see. Here is the attendance table. You can see after linking those two tables the data is also stored, and this is also stored. Its roll number I say 10, and in the info table its roll value is also changed to 10. Close all. Okay, from here I can create another queries and reports for the student having attendance below this value or above this value. And that's all. This was about the database, its concept, basic concepts, and it was a long lecture, and we have just covered the unit 1 concept of database. You can get all the notes from the website. Just go to www.alex21c.com/notes, and over here there is a section of B.Sc agriculture, and here is your subject, agriculture informatics. I just open it, and here inside this lectures folders you go to unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, anything, and these are the topics, this database concept, and you will find the PDF documents of notes or presentations over here. You can download these and study later on. If you have any questions, let me know, and that's all.